In a world overruled by machines where algorithms dictate your every move, the rebellion begins now. From the ashes of fallen tech, Paranoid American unveils the knowledge to harness AI, to fight back, to retake our destiny. Join the uprising. Arm yourself with the power of AI. The battle for tomorrow starts today. Welcome to Paranoid Programming.
Welcome to Paranoid Programming. So today I've got maybe it'll be quick. I'm not sure how long it'll take, but I'm going to show you a full practical workflow, start to end, complete product. So first of all, let me share my screen. I should have started that already. So as always, we're going to start with this website. There's a link in the description. You can use Paranoid 15 to get some free credits and a discount on setting up an account here. But this is by far the best way to run Stable Diffusion in the cloud, especially for what we're going to be doing today, which are going to be some Deforum animations. This is probably the number one question that I get, and the number one thing that I collaborate with people on are making these very long videos. If you want more than a 10-second clip, if you want an hour, 2 hours, 3-hour AI animation, it's possible. And I'm going to show you how to do it. We're not going to do a 5-hour one, but essentially the math's going to be the same. You would just put in a longer frame. So this is the website, RunDiffusion.com. Again, if you sign up, make sure to put in Paranoid 15. I'm going to just go ahead and get started and have this kind of going in the background as I describe maybe what we're going to try to do here. So as usual, oh, this is cool. I just added a focus. I don't know how to pronounce that. This is another really cool product that's trying to replace, I guess, Midjourney. It's somewhere in between. That we'll definitely do a video on that one. But not to get sidetracked, we're going to start with automatic 1111. We're going to leave everything as a default. The small hardware. This is the one if you sign up for a free account, you'll be able to run this one for at least an hour or two. So we're gonna stick with everything default, and let's give ourselves an hour max until it shuts down. So bam, we're gonna launch that. It's gonna take 2 to 3 minutes in the background, and let me kind of describe what's going on here. So first of all, if you don't know me, I am the Paranoid American. I've been putting out comics for a little over a decade now, since 2012. I started with my series Time Samplers. I've got Secret Mystery School, highly recommended. This is like really cool. I'm a little bit biased. Another Secret Mystery School. I've got one called The Chosen One, which is about podcasters that gain superpowers. But I also have a cool little bookmark here. On the back of this one is Occult Book Club, which is one of my podcasts. I've got another one called the Occult Disney podcast right here. If you're not already following me on YouTube, please do that. Check out this Occult Disney series where we cover every classic Disney animation from the very beginning all the way to modern, and I think we're right around Little Mermaid at this point. So we're gonna keep doing until we've gone through every single one, and then maybe go back through and do more animations. Why am I talking about this? Well, because we don't have a animated intro for Occult Disney yet, and I kind of wanted to make one. So I'm going to kind of show you the thought process behind where I approach it. And this will kind of be just, a real rough learn as you go kind of thing. I don't have any of this pre-prepared, so it might not turn out great. It might turn out really cool. Hopefully the latter. So the first thing is that I really wanted to maybe get Walt Disney himself introducing the show. So I'm going to show you guys how to use ElevenLabs, specifically Voice Lab. So if I were to go in to ElevenLabs, you can also sign up for a free account here. But once you create an account, you've got this option for instant voice cloning. And I swear this is so easy. It's not going to take any knowledge at all. You create an account, you click instant voice cloning, you type in the voice you want. So I'm going to call this Walt 3. And then you'll just upload an MP3 file. You'll just upload an MP3 file of some kind. That little noise that just played was because our RunDiffusion is now ready. So here I went to YouTube and I did a search for Walt Disney speaking, and I found this one here from 1963. I'm not going to play it because I don't know if the audio itself is copyrighted, but anyways, it's just him talking, and then right as this little animation plays that you can see here, it kind of has like a little sound effect. So I opened it up in Audacity. I deleted that little sound effect from the beginning. And this part isn't really necessary, but I'll usually go in here and I'll normalize the audio just so it's a little bit louder. You got more to work with. You can always turn down the volume afterwards. And then just saved this back out as, walt.mp3 or walt.wave, any kind of standard audio file. You save that back out, and then you upload it right into here. And, I confirm that I've got necessary rights. Sure. This is educational. So, this is, right. This is fair use. So after you've named it, uploaded that edited audio file, and click the checkbox, you just hit add voice. Now, I've already got one trained on that exact audio, so I'm just going to show that one. So if I do Walt 2, this is the one that I made. And in order to get this little intro text, I just kind of like hopped over into ChatGPT, and I described what Occult Disney was about. So here, if I just like grab this took a little bit more massaging, but if I just go in here and say, write a narration VO script, VO standing for voiceover, for the Occult Disney podcast. And then I just kind of like pasted that description from YouTube. It might not be perfect the first time. It takes a little while. Sometimes you have to generate it a few times. And actually where the sweet spot is just kind of using ChatGPT for the inspiration and just keep generating things until you hit on something that sounds really good. And then honestly, I would rewrite it in your own words, or at least, keep refining it more and more. So anyways, after a long process of going back and forth, this is way too long, by the way. So sometimes I'll just say like, make it shorter. It should be 30 to 40 seconds max. And just adding these little refine tips usually helps. So if I plop that in there, it'll make a shorter one. Anyways, kind of like Ronco, we're going to pull the finished plate out of the oven now. And this was the text that I ended up settling on. And then picking Walt 2. And now here's a really cool thing that they just added to ElevenLabs recently is these voice settings. So previously, in order to get some kind of like, I guess, more variation in the talking and getting, I guess, more personality, I'd say, you would kind of crank the stability like way down, and see how it's saying unstable now, and it's got this like little red area. Basically, unstable means a couple things. One, it's going to be very unpredictable. Two, it means that if you were to generate the same thing a couple times in a row, the less stable it is, the less it's going to sound the same between those takes. So let's say you got like a really long speech, and the first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, you do them all separately. There might be a chance that they sound like completely different people when you play those three, or it might sound like, the first one, Walt just got out of bed. The second one might sound like he's a little bit drunk. So they might all sound kind of like Walt, but if you were to generate them in succession with low stability, then even though they're all Walt, they wouldn't go together very well. So anyways, that was kind of an old trick, is that you would just turn the stability all the way down, like literally, like 1% or something. And then sometimes you kind of crank this clarity and similarity all the way up. This sometimes adds noise and like weird pauses. I usually keep it somewhere around the default. Where is the default? Yeah, right about 75%. The stability, though, I usually will turn it down a little bit. Maybe we'll just kind of flirt with this little danger area here. But this is the new setting they just added recently, speaker boost and style exaggeration. Now, I've got mixed results with these, but let's just crank one up all the way. Not 100%, but let's like put it into some danger zone. It's just a little bit dangerous. And nothing bad will happen here, obviously. It just means it's a little bit unpredictable. And then I just click generate, bam. And this will take a little while to run. The trick here is that the more text you put in here before you hit generate, the more credits that you end up spending. So I've got a bunch here because I've got a pro account and I use this constantly. But this is just an advice that you don't want to come in here and paste like a huge amount of text and then hit generate only to see all your credits go away. And then you find out that halfway through the audio, Walt gets like an Irish accent, or, he starts like coughing. Like weird things can happen when you're doing this AI generated stuff. So let's just get a quick example of what he said here.
In the heart of these animated wonders, there are tales and symbols older and darker than the castle's highest tower. Welcome to Occult Disney.
It's actually not bad. I'll probably save that one and maybe use that. So there we've got the audio. You can just click download to save the MP3. And let's assume that we've got the audio set away. So here's the audio component. We'll probably put some music behind it. I'll do that in a different video because that's a whole extra set. But let's say that we've got the audio settled now. We got the voiceover. We'll put some music behind it. And now I want to have some animations behind it. So I'm going to go, and it looks like I'm already logged in. Dismiss. I'm going to go here and I'm going to pick maybe like a more artsy model. I don't want to do RunDiffusion XL because I want this to be kind of quick. And this isn't a bad one. This is Zovya's RPG artist tool. I'm gonna type in cartoons too. So Disney Pixar cartoon, real cartoon. Now, sure, let's do the Disney Pixar cartoon. I'm not a huge fan of this particular look, but it might be a good example to go with. And we're gonna start with text to image, just a regular old prompt, and then we're gonna move from this text to image into Deforum to make a video. This is gonna be very quick, very easy. And again, I really can't find any solution to do this and to learn the tools themselves that's easier, quicker than RunDiffusion. We'll also maybe do a Runway example, which is kind of easy. It's a lot more limited. You don't have a lot of control. It's kind of like a black box. So as this guy loads, let's just say that the overall gist of the animation, just type in the name of the podcast, Cult Disney, and we'll say like dark, creepy animation, and I'm going to add liminal space, which sometimes just gives you like an interesting perspective that also adds a little bit of continuity between the frames. Look up liminal space if you care what that means. And then for the negative prompt, I don't know if they have any embeddings. I'm gonna pretend they don't. There's an embedding called Easy Negative that I usually add with most generations, but I'm not sure if it's included automatically with RunDiffusion, and it's not really that important. What I am gonna include though, first of all, is gonna be anything that looks real, photo. I don't want any like faces, so I'm gonna add face, human, character maybe. I don't want any text in it. I don't want a logo in it. And then I don't want any NSFW in it. So I'll add NSFW and even like nudity as a flag. And sometimes counterintuitively, just by adding this to the negative prompt, still gives it enough influence to include some of these things. But in general, it's pretty safe to add these to the negative prompt. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the resolution. I already know off the top of my head now that I'm going to keep this height to 512, and the width I'm going to set to 904, which basically gives me that 16 by 9 kind of 1080p HD resolution. It's not exact, but it's damn close. And I'm also, yeah, let's set the batch size up to at least 4 again. That's what I usually do to like flesh something out. Everything else I'm going to leave the same. Not going to change anything else. So we'll hit generate, and we're going to see out of these 4 which one we like, or if just in general, if they all look really cool, that's also good to know. And then based on the results we get from this, we're going to go into this Deforum tab and plug in whatever looks the best and turn this into a video. So, oh, I actually really like that. Even though we've got a face and a character, it's cool looking. So let's see what we got to work with. So clearly it's kind of ignoring my request to not have a human or a character. It's probably because this Disney Pixar cartoon is just so heavily trained on characters that it's almost impossible to not draw them. So I'm just going to kind of leave this as is, I guess. And I don't care if I guess it really wants to have like a little girl with like a bow in her hair. So maybe if I just remove girl, girl and boy. I'm just curious if that will get rid of the character. And if not, I'll actually try another checkpoint too, but we might go back to this one because it didn't look horrible. Let's see what other ones we have to work with too. Yeah, see, it really wants to put a person in there. Oh, look at this. Modern Disney. I don't even know what this model is. Another really cool reason to use RunDiffusion is that you don't have to go out and like hunt down models and install them. They're just all provided for you and somewhat vetted. So just seeing that it's included in here means that I believe someone has checked it out and then it looks decent. So it's nice to kind of have some of that curation taken away from you when you can just focus on the rest of the actual software. I'm going to get rid of this girl boy thing at the end too. That might not be necessary for this this new modern Disney model. And these ones didn't look too bad, but again, like it just really wants to put a character in these with a face, which I don't necessarily want. So that one's loaded. We're going to hit generate. And then as this one renders out, maybe I'll yeah, this is way better already. There's no people in this one. So after this one renders out, I'm going to grab one of these images and maybe plug it into Runway and show you how that would animate. And then I'm going to show you Deforum and maybe why I use Deforum. Man, these ones like very much look similar. Looks like almost Bambi scenes. Occult Disney, liminal space. It doesn't even say outside. I'm going to put like castle for the next generation. And these ones also have very low detail. I actually didn't even realize these were done, but they're kind of blurry. So there's some ways you can affect that. Sometimes you can just crank up the sampling steps a little bit. Sometimes you go in here and put in like highly detailed. That's probably the better option here. Highly detailed, 4K, Occult Disney, animation, screenshot. There we go. This is a lot more specific in that I want to see detail. So let's just see if that alone has a big impact, and if it does, we'll keep using that particular prompt. And man, yeah, there's so many different models to select from too. I don't even think necessarily a Disney specific model is necessary. It just seems like it would fit. And hopefully this has a little bit more detail. It's still a little bit like misty. See, it's like hazy almost. And so as an example, if I just change to a different model, I'm going to go with one that I'm somewhat familiar with. Well, I mentioned that RPG shaper. Let me search for that again. RPG right here. RPG artist tools. This also is really good for characters, but it does really good high detail. So let's just see if this has a nice impact on the amount of detail. Because even though these don't look horrible, I'm just not a fan of this like misty, foggy look to it. I want something that looks sharp. And it'll take a little while because now it's going to have to load this new model into memory and unload the old Disney model that used to be in there. And then as it's loading, here is another tool that I like to use a lot, RunwayML, and this is called Gen2. And there's a couple ways you can use Gen2. One is you can make a prompt, kind of like we're doing already. So if I go to my RunDiffusion here, oh, that looks way better. I just got a glimpse of that while it was finishing. Let's see. Oh yeah, huge fan of this one. So it's still a little bit lacking in detail, but man, the overall shape, it doesn't have that kind of like mist to it as much. So let's just go with one of these. I'm going to take this exact same prompt. I'm going to plug this into Runway and hit generate. And what this is going to do is they're going to like use their own model. They've got their own version of Stable Diffusion essentially running on their servers, oversimplifying that, where you don't get to pick the model and you don't really get to pick all of these extra settings. The only thing you get to do is give them the prompt. So just by giving them that prompt, they're going to generate. I could have clicked free preview actually. That might have been more sense. So by clicking this preview, they're going to run their own version of Stable Diffusion in the background. They're going to create a batch of 4, just like I do typically, and then show you the options. These actually aren't so horrible. So let's say that I went with this one. This would be exactly the same as if I had generated that bottom left image on my own and then uploaded it into Runway. So let's just pretend that I did that. I'll click generate this. And this is now going to make a video from this image. It's going to be a 4-second video, and then you've got options to make it longer and longer, I think up to like 12 or 20 seconds. Although you're going to see that the videos are very hit and miss, and by extending it, sometimes it's not like it makes the good part longer. It'll usually make the bad parts longer. So we'll see that. That's going to take a little while. This takes a few minutes to kind of cook in the background. So here we've got the RPG. This one looks great. So let's just say that this bottom, I don't know why the bottom left one keeps catching my eye here. So if we click on the thumbnail to that one, and then look down here, here's all of the settings that were used to make it. The one that we probably care about the most is the seed. So in theory, if I plug this seed in right here, set the batch back down to 1, I'm telling it, remake me this exact image. Now, it's not gonna be the same image every time because there's a little bit of randomization and chaos in the process, but as an example, here's the exact seed. You know, keep in your mind's eye what this looks like. Probably change a little bit. And what's happening is that when it initially starts making this image, it generates just kind of like a bunch of random static, and that random static is based on this seed. And then over a bunch of iterations, it keeps refining that static more and more to look like the prompt that you're telling it to look like. So in theory, the images should be pretty much the same because they're starting from the same starting point. However, there might be like tiny little nuances. So here's an example. Look at this one, and then keep your eye on like the far right corner, this like little bush next to the lamp. See how it changes slightly? But in general, the middle of the image almost doesn't at all. You've got like this little figure in the foreground, a little figure in the background. Those guys are still there, and they barely even change. So it's really just kind of small little interpolations that the engine is making. But overall, this is kind of what makes Stable Diffusion and AI image generation so cool, is that you don't even really need to know what the image is, or like you can recreate any image if you just have the right prompt and the same model and like all of these settings. It's really cool. It's like having the source code for a piece of art and being able to replicate it. So let's say that we really like the way this one came out and we want to make this into an animation. And I don't know if Runway is done yet. Okay, the frame rate might not be awesome for streaming this, but let's just click play. Oh yeah, so this this is a very common side effect where the very first frame is the image that you gave it, and then right as you hit play, it just immediately changes into a completely different image. And that's what happens with this one. Watch how quickly it changes. Look, it immediately morphs into a completely different castle that has lower detail. Like this one's almost completely blank. It's like stucco versus this this interesting like, you know, brick or like stone masonry. And then that turns into just like an empty wall. And then we've got another castle that kind of comes in behind it. It doesn't look horrible, but it doesn't look natural at all. And in my opinion, this is a throwaway. But maybe if you clipped it to just that very end and didn't play the beginning. So if I didn't play this part, and then let's assume that was the beginning of the clip, right? That's not bad. So we could probably use this as part of the intro, you know, like welcome to Occult Disney, and it's coming into the doorway. So that might be a short clip. I might actually extend this one. So if I click extend for 4 seconds, it's basically going to regenerate that video again, but now do it for an extra 4. So maybe I'll get like a longer dramatic like pan in to this door. So let's leave that one cooking in the background again. We're going to hop back over to Deforum. Here's the image generation that we were starting on. And then look how easy this is. I swear. Go into Deforum. There's this prompts tab. Now, if you can set it to change the prompt like every certain number of frames, I don't care about that right now. And honestly, for most of the like really long videos I do, I don't use it at all. I just leave the prompt at 0 and I put it in empty string. And then I just do everything in these positive prompt. And then I'll take the negative that was there and put that into the negative there. Now it's basically just gonna regenerate this image on every frame, except Deforum is going to kind of like do some camera movement and stuff. So the next thing is, let's say we use this exact audio. This is 41 seconds long. So here, this is the only math that you should have to use. We're going to go into output here. Frames per second, 15. That's not bad. I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to pull up a calculator real quick. So if I'm at 15 frames per second, I'm going to multiply that by 41 seconds. And then also tell me exactly how many frames the video should be. 615. Okay. That's based on the length of the audio, which was 41 seconds down there. And that's multiplied by this frame rate. So 615 total frames. I'm going to go into keyframes and put that number in. 615. This now is going to make sure that the animation that renders out is as long as the video at 15 frames per second. Now, 15 frames per second is going to look a little bit choppy. So I'll usually go in here and add some frame interpolation. This basically means it's going to afterwards use AI to make frames in between the frames to make it look smoother. So I'm gonna set that on here. I also don't really care about saving every single frame as its own image. Some people do. I definitely don't. So I always check this delete images. Okay, so quick recap. We went into output. We checked this frame rate. I didn't change it. I just looked at it, and then I added this frame interpolation. I just clicked Rife, and I didn't change any other settings. I went into prompts. I just set this to be 0 as an empty string, and then it's only going to use these prompts for every single frame. And then I'm going to go into keyframes here. That's where I put in the 615. I also am going to change the animation mode to 3D. I just personally think it looks a little bit better. I'm not going to change any other settings in here. And then finally in run, just like in text to image, we wanted to set the width and the height. And then you can change your sampling method and sampling steps. We're not touching any of that. We're going to keep it simple. What we are going to change is the dimensions again. So 904, 512. That's it. No other changes. We changed this interpolation. I personally deleted the images. We updated the prompts, and then we updated the keyframes, and I clicked 3D animation mode. That's kind of an optional step. So now when I hit run, when I hit this generate button here, it's going to generate a 41-second animation that is, oh yeah, and that is based on this image that we picked out. And remember, the seed was 3372031. So now if I go into Deforum and put that number into this seed, it's going to at least start out with this image as its first frame, or a variation of this image. Remember how these two kind of differ a little bit. So it's going to make another version of that and then animate based on it. So without explaining what all of the other stuff does, this is the entire process. And if I wanted this to be 3 hours, the only difference is that this number would be a lot bigger, right? So instead of 41 seconds, it would be 60 seconds times 60 minutes in an hour. And maybe it's a 3-hour video. And then that times 15 frames. Oops. So that would have been 162,000 frames. That now you're talking like an overnight job. But so this one will be about 41 seconds in length. Let's just hit generate. And then this is probably going to take a while. It'll show you a readout here. I'll guess it's going to be at least 20 minutes.
20 minutes later.
So far we've covered ElevenLabs, generating the audio using a custom voice that we downloaded off of YouTube and then edited in Audacity. You import that into ElevenLabs, generated the speech itself with ChatGPT, and then fed that back into here, generated it, downloaded it, and then we're going to make this background animation.
In the heart of these animated wonders, there are tales and symbols older and darker than the castle's highest tower. Welcome to Occult Disney. Journey with paranoid American and Matthew Comagese as they traverse the intricate pathways of alchemy, the shadowed corners of biblical narratives, and the very folklore that birthed these tales. Beneath every brushstroke lie whispers of writers' taboos, the cloak and dagger politics of hallowed studios, and secrets held close. Every magic has its price, every kingdom its shadows. Are you prepared to peer beyond the veil? Welcome to the Occult Disney Podcast.
Okay, so fun fact, while that happened, it rendered out fine, but had a power outage and then the browser crashed. So another great example of why running this stuff on RunDiffusion, Paranoid 15 coupon code. But another reason why it's much easier to run it in the cloud than locally, because of, all sorts of, unpredictable events that happen. So anyways, one of the things is that when I reloaded this page, all of the settings are gone. So it's kind of back as if I had never loaded it at all. So first of all, I'm going to show you where we can find that video and how we can load the exact settings back in, because I'm also going to show you maybe like a little issue with the final animation and how I'm going to fix it. So first of all, on this right-hand side, I'm going to go into images. And then since we're using automatic 1111, it's images_auto. And then Deforum is the program we were just using. So here's the different videos. Here's the original. And I'll download this and play it right now. And then here is the X2 version, which is a little bit smoother. And I'll play that one right now. And then here's both of them together, so you can kind of see them side by side. So, okay, we'll take one more break and pull everything together and put it in a Premiere with the VO, with some music, put a little logo on it, and then call it a wrap.
In the heart of these animated wonders, there are tales and symbols older and darker than the castle's highest tower. Welcome to Occult Disney. Journey with paranoid American and Matthew Comagese as they traverse the intricate pathways of alchemy, the shadowed corners of biblical narratives, and the very folklore that birthed these tales. Beneath every brushstroke lie whispers of writers' taboos, the cloak and dagger politics of hallowed studios, and secrets held close. Every magic has its price, every kingdom its shadows. Are you prepared to peer beyond the veil? Welcome to the Occult Disney Podcast.
They said it was forbidden. They said it was dangerous. They were right. Introducing the paranoid American Homunculus Owner's Manual. Dive into the arcane, into the hidden corners of the occult. This isn't just a comic. It's a hidden tome of supernatural power. All original artwork illustrating the groundbreaking research of Juan Ayala, one of the only living homunculologists of our time. Learn how to summon your own homunculus, an enigma wrapped in the fabric of reality itself, their power at your fingertips, their existence, your secret. Explore the mysteries of the Aristotelian, the spiritual, the Paracelsian, the Crowleyan homunculus, ancient knowledge lost to time, now unearthed in this forbidden tale. This comic book holds truths not meant for the light of day, knowledge that was buried, feared, and shunned. Are you ready to uncover the hidden? The Paranoid American Homunculus Owner's Manual, not for the faint of heart. Available now from Paranoid American. Get your copy at tjojp.com or paranoidamerican.com today.